Each year, thousands of visitors from across the Midwest stand in awe as the Heart of America wing of the Commemorative Air Force hosts its annual air show in and around its hangar at New Century Air Center in Johnson County, Kansas. The show presents the sights and sounds of a past generation of aircraft, trainers, cargo planes, fighters, and bombers that young men and women flew into harm's way to protect America from the dark forces of tyranny and oppression that threatened to engulf the globe in the 1940s. More than 16 million young Americans served in World War II, the most costly and most destructive war in history. The war began in 1939 with an attack by German dive bombers on Poland and ended in 1945 with 2 single bombs dropped on Japan by American heavy aircraft. In the intervening 6 years, at least 50 million people died, military and non-combatants alike. American industry produced more than 295,000 aircraft for the war effort, and hundreds of thousands of young men and 1,074 women trained as pilots, navigators, bombardiers, radio operators, and gunners. Nearly 14,000 died in accidents, many times that died in combat action, all to preserve freedom and our way of life. These young men and women are older now, and the Heart of America wing is dedicated to preserving their legacy. Following the hostilities, these young men returned to civilian life, and tens of thousands of aircraft were destroyed or parked in the desert to slowly deteriorate. A decade after the war, only a handful were left and very few in flyable condition. In 1957, a small group of ex-service pilots in Texas were determined to preserve some of these aircraft. Their intent was to keep them flying as a reminder of the terrible price paid for freedom. In 1961, they incorporated and called themselves the Confederate Air Force. Today, the CAF numbers more than 13,000 members and owns 165 aircraft hangared at wings around the country. Today, the Heart of America wing of that organization, now known as the Commemorative Air Force, proudly opens its hangar to host a variety of community events. Its museum houses historically significant artifacts related to military aviation. Thousands of visitors annually are treated to displays of aircraft and military hardware, introduced to veterans who flew the aircraft, and to programs that keep the legacy of these veterans and their aircraft alive. The Heart of America wing of the CAF is a vibrant, thriving organization of 120 dedicated men and women focused on preserving the memory of the sacrifices made for all of us by members of our armed forces, and to ensuring that the aircraft flown by our gallant airmen can be seen and heard by future generations. But the wing did not spring forth full-blown. It is the result of many decades of vision, hard work, dedication, and sacrifice by many individual volunteers and community organizations. In 1974, 2 members of the National CAF met at the IXD Air Show in Olathe, Kansas. Al Jenkins and Don Cosentino discussed forming a local branch of the CAF, and they spread the word among area aviation enthusiasts. The idea was slow to catch on, but not for want of interest. The obstacles were daunting: no hangar, no aircraft, and few prospects for getting either. In 1982, an ad was placed in the Kansas City Star inviting interested persons to meet. C.W. Kemper, a jeweler in Clinton, Missouri, was the first unit leader. The meetings were informal and basically homeless, meeting monthly at various places around the region. the Officers Club at Richards Gebaur Air Force Base, the conference room at Johnson County Airport, the VFW Hall on 75th Street, Ray Gentile's home, and Kemper's hangar in Clinton. The unit was called a squadron and was attached to the Missouri wing of the CAF, with home field in St. Louis. In 1985, the unit leader, C.W. Kemper, donated his Fairchild PT-19 to the unit, and at last, the Heart of America group was truly a flying organization, although it still was without a permanent home. In 1996, Gene Linder, an Army veteran and flight instructor, became unit leader, and the Heart of America entered a new era. In 1999, Gene and Executive Officer Ed Toomey negotiated with the city of Olathe to lease space for construction of a permanent hangar that would house the organization and its plans for a growing fleet of aircraft. Members Steve Craig and Vince Murphy graciously offered to match the final $10,000 needed for construction to begin, and the hangar was completed in 2000. The airport director and board saw the value of our mission and offered a pad lease agreement unheard of heretofore. The lease was free as long as we maintained the 3 jets in the Navy Park. Every spring and fall, the planes get a good cleaning and minor repairs. The hangar at 6 Aero Plaza, New Century Airport, was originally just a bare-bones metal building with a bathroom in one corner, but it was home, and it was large enough to house 5 or 6 aircraft. Completion of this stage of construction was cause for celebration, and in 2001 we held an open house and hangar dance with Don Hatfield's band and the Moonlight Serenaders. With the new hangar came the decision that the organization was large enough to deserve recognition as a wing, a unit that was capable of running its own schedule and on par with mature, fully functioning CAF wings across the country. The national organization changed its name to Commemorative Air Force in 2002 to better define its purpose. The Heart of America wing thus became part of the Commemorative Air Force overnight. That same year, Ray Gentile discovered a long-forgotten Allison engine, rare and valuable. The sale of the engine paid for pouring a concrete floor in the 9,000 square foot hangar, a much-needed addition. That same year brought additional changes in the form of meeting space and offices built as a partial second floor inside the hangar, additions which greatly enhanced the usability of the hangar and allowed for even further expansion when needed. The wing continued to grow, and in 2008, Tom Hall donated his PT-13 Stearman to the fleet. It remains a valuable and admired flying example of a World War II trainer in which thousands of young men first experienced the gift of wings in the skies over Kansas. As the membership of the wing continued to grow, and as surrounding communities became more aware of the historical gold mine in their midst, a second expansion of the space within the hangar became necessary. Space was added adjacent to the existing meeting room, and some of the area was utilized to display many of the aviation-related artifacts that had been donated to the wing. Ron Wright and Darrell Werner were the enthusiastic curators of the exhibits and took special pains to display the artifacts correctly and meaningfully. The museum now is one of the most popular areas when visitors tour the hangar, and it continues to grow as more donations are made to the wing. The Heart of America Wing has become one of the premier chapters of the Commemorative Air Force, able to attract warbirds and heroes from across the country to commemorate the aviators of our past wars. In 2015, Lieutenant Colonel Richard E. Cole, co-pilot to Jimmy Doolittle during his immortal Tokyo raid, celebrated his 100th birthday by attending the September Air Show. Traveling from his home near San Antonio, the irrepressible Cole greeted hundreds of well-wishers, signed books, and took a flight in our PT-19. Today, the Heart of America wing of the Commemorative Air Force continues to preserve the legacy of those young men and women who took to the skies in World War II, ready to defend our country and our way of life. Through dedicated volunteers and donations from the community, our goal is to ensure that succeeding generations of Americans will continue to hear the throb of radial engines, the sound of freedom.